Sagittarius, shocking. This is how the person who hurt you faces karma. Sagittarius, if your soul has guided you here today, it is no coincidence. Somewhere deep inside, you have carried wounds so silently that even those closest to you could not hear their echo. Not because you were weak, but because your heart, vast and full of grace, refused to respond to cruelty with cruelty. You chose to rise above, to walk forward without demanding apologies or revenge. Yet the universe has never been blind to your silent strength. There comes a time when the unseen justice of the cosmos begins to unfold. Not through shouting, not through spectacles, but through quiet, inevitable truth. This message is for you, Sagittarius. The one who loved too deeply, who forgave silently, who let go not because it didn't hurt, but because your soul refused to become hardened. Today, I invite you to listen not with your defenses, but with your heart wide open. If this message finds resonance within you, I warmly welcome you to like, share, and subscribe to Zodiac Wisdom, where together we honor the sacred paths of healing, awakening, and cosmic alignment. You are not walking this journey alone. Let's step into the light that has been patiently waiting for you. Gate 1, the silent strength of a forgiving heart. There is a unique strength, Sagittarius, that only those with the deepest hearts understand. The strength to remain silent in the face of betrayal, to walk away without shouting, to carry pain with grace rather than bitterness. You have always been that kind of soul. In moments when you could have retaliated, when you could have exposed those who hurt you, you chose instead to protect your own spirit, knowing instinctively that revenge only binds you to the very pain you long to transcend. Silence was not your weakness. It was your sacred shield. Perhaps there were days you questioned whether your choice to remain kind was noticed by anyone at all. Perhaps you wondered if the universe had overlooked your tears simply because you chose to cry them in private. But today, know this. Nothing you have done in love, nothing you have carried in silence has been wasted. I have seen it so many times in the lives of those who came to me seeking answers. Like Clara, a Sagittarius woman whose closest friend betrayed her in ways too painful to describe. She had every reason to strike back, to reveal the truth to everyone. Yet she chose another path. She focused on rebuilding her own life quietly, pouring her energy into a new creative project she once believed she wasn't strong enough to attempt. And 2 years later, while her former friends struggled in the chaos of their own unresolved choices, Clara's life blossomed in ways she could never have predicted. A loving marriage, a flourishing business, and most importantly, a heart at peace. Or Nathan, a fiery Sagittarius entrepreneur who was wronged by partners he trusted with his dreams. Instead of dragging his pain into courtrooms and gossip, he stepped away without spectacle. He rebuilt from scratch with integrity, and today his success is not just financial. It's the quiet triumph of a soul who chose dignity over drama. Sagittarius, your silence is never empty. It is filled with the vibrations of self-respect, the music of resilience, the song of a soul that knows its worth. The universe recognizes that energy, and while you walk forward carrying yourself with grace, karma begins its invisible, inevitable work. Not because you wished harm on anyone, but because every action in the universe must return to its source. Those who hurt you may walk freely for a time, appearing unaffected, even thriving in ways that seem unjust. But energy moves in cycles. Every wound they inflicted returns to them, not as punishment, but as lessons their souls must face. You do not need to wish them harm, Sagittarius. You do not need to watch their downfall. The universe does not require your anger to set balance into motion. Your only task is to continue living truthfully, tenderly, and bravely. Your reward is not seeing their karma unfold. Your reward is the life you are building beyond their shadow. There is an invisible justice working in your favor, a restoration not only of circumstances but of the very core of who you are. The ones who betrayed your trust may find themselves lost in relationships that mirror their own betrayal. They may face doors that refuse to open, friendships that never quite feel real, moments of loneliness in crowded rooms. Not because you cursed them, but because the universe is a mirror, and no wound inflicted on another escapes without teaching. But you, Sagittarius, you are no longer tethered to their lessons. You have graduated from that classroom. Your journey is now about the blossoming of your own spirit, about returning to the expansiveness that defines you, about trusting that the silence you chose, the forgiveness you offered, even if only silently in your heart, has elevated you onto a path where only those who can meet your frequency will follow. You are not here to carry the burden of other people's mistakes. You are here to live freely, to laugh deeply, to love without fear once again. And yes, you may still feel the occasional sting when memories surface. A song, a scent, a passing thought may pull you back for a moment. But remember, the past no longer holds power over you. It shaped you, yes. It softened you, deepened you, but it does not define you. You have already chosen light over bitterness. You have already reclaimed your peace. And that, dear Sagittarius, is the kind of silent strength that moves mountains in the unseen world. Karma does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it is as subtle as a door quietly closing behind you, as gentle as a new path opening under your feet. And when you find yourself walking lighter, laughing louder, loving more purely than ever before, that is when you will know the universe has seen everything, and it has chosen to bless you for every moment you chose to heal instead of hurt, to forgive instead of destroy, to believe in your own worth when the world tried to make you doubt. You, Sagittarius, are the living proof that light wins. Always. Gate to the quiet justice of the universe. There are forces in this universe, Sagittarius, that move far beyond what the human eye can see. Forces that do not roar with vengeance but hum quietly through the threads of time, weaving balance into a tapestry we rarely understand while we are still close to the pain. You, who have carried betrayal and heartbreak without demanding repayment, are now standing at the threshold where the quiet justice of the universe begins to unfold. Not in the way the world teaches, with loud vindication or dramatic reckonings, but in a way that honors the sanctity of your soul. You see, when someone harms a heart as vast and sincere as yours, the universe does not simply let it pass unnoticed. It does not seek to punish out of cruelty, but to awaken, to teach, to return every action to its origin so that true growth can occur. The person who once wounded you may walk through seasons that look outwardly untouched, but inside, the energy they created is slowly, inevitably shaping their journey. It begins with small fractures they cannot explain, a sense of dissatisfaction that lingers no matter what they achieve, a loneliness that no relationship seems to soothe, a restlessness that no success can quiet. They may smile, they may build, but deep inside, the seeds they sowed have taken root. I have seen it with my own eyes, Sagittarius, in stories both heartbreaking and deeply affirming. Like Emma, a brilliant Sagittarius who trusted a colleague she once called her best friend, only to be betrayed when recognition and rewards came into play. She never confronted them publicly. She chose dignity, stepping aside without burning bridges. For a time it seemed her friend had won, basking in achievements that rightfully belonged to both of them. But as the years unfolded, Emma built a career founded on authenticity, while her former friend found herself unable to maintain the illusion she had created. Today, Emma leads with grace, loved and respected, while the other quietly battles the invisible erosion of integrity lost. Or Michael, who loved someone so deeply, he was willing to forgive betrayals most would find unforgivable. He poured himself into the relationship, only to watch it crumble, not because he stopped loving, but because the other could no longer receive love without feeling suffocated by their own guilt. Michael let them go, not with rage but with a silent blessing. Years later, he met a partner who could love him in the way he always deserved, freely, fiercely, without reservation. Meanwhile, his former partner now navigates relationships haunted by the love they once took for granted, but could never replicate. Sagittarius, this is how the quiet justice of the universe moves. Not to punish but to mirror. Not to destroy but to illuminate. You, who stayed kind, who chose healing over hatred, have placed yourself in the flow of this invisible grace. While those who harmed you must walk their own path of awakening, you are being lifted onto a higher road. A road where peace no longer feels like a fragile hope but becomes the steady foundation of your life. It is important to understand. You are not wishing them harm when you acknowledge this truth. You are not gloating over their struggles. You are simply allowing the universe to do what it has always done. Return energy to its rightful owner, without your interference, without your judgment. Your role is to continue expanding, loving, thriving. Your role is to build the life that once felt unimaginable in your darkest moments. There may still be flashes of memory, moments when the old pain tugs at the edges of your spirit. A song, a familiar street, a scent that reminds you of what once was. Let it come. Let it pass. It is only a wave returning to shore, a brief echo reminding you how far you have traveled. You no longer live there. You no longer belong to the story of betrayal and loss. You are writing a new story now, one where you are the hero who chose peace, the survivor who chose hope, the soul who chose light. And perhaps one day, the person who hurt you will come to understand the true cost of what they lost. Not through your words, not through confrontation, but through the hollow spaces left behind where your love once lived. They will find themselves reaching for something they cannot name, feeling the absence of a connection they can no longer repair. Not because you wished it, but because the universe teaches through absence what some refuse to learn through presence. You, Sagittarius, need not concern yourself with when or how that lesson unfolds. Your journey is forward. Your calling is higher. Your destiny is richer than any revenge could ever offer. Continue to bless your path with forgiveness, not for them but for yourself. Continue to live with such fullness and authenticity that no shadow of the past can dim your light. This is the quiet justice of the universe. It moves without fanfare. It restores without noise. It heals without spectacle. And it lifts you higher than any human apology ever could. Gate 3: the new energy of sacred freedom. There is a freedom, Sagittarius, that no one can give you and no one can take away. A freedom that blooms quietly within the soul when you finally stop carrying the weight of those who could not love you well. This freedom is not born of anger or pride, but of a deep sacred understanding. You were never meant to live your life entangled in the unfinished lessons of others. You were always meant to rise, not by pulling them down, but by gently releasing yourself into your own light. When the one who hurt you first left your life, or perhaps when you first found the strength to walk away, you may have believed that you lost something precious. And in many ways you did. You lost the dreams you once built together. You lost the innocence that believed love alone could heal what was broken. But you did not lose yourself. That part of you, the truest part, was never theirs to take. It was only waiting for you to return. I have seen this rebirth in so many souls who thought the pain would break them. Like Hannah, a Sagittarius woman who came to me convinced she would never trust again after a long betrayal by someone she once called family. She carried the wound for years, believing that closing her heart was the only way to stay safe. But healing is not about closing the door to life. It is about building better doors. Slowly, Hannah opened herself again, first to herself, then to others. Today, she leads community workshops on self-worth, helping other women find their voice after heartbreak. Her light is no longer cautious, it is radiant. Or Gabriel, a fierce and generous Sagittarius who lost his closest friend to envy and betrayal. He believed for a time that trusting again would be foolish. Yet over time, as he chose to heal rather than harden, Gabriel found a new tribe. A group of souls who celebrated his victories without jealousy, who loved him without conditions. He tells me now that losing the wrong person was the only way he could find his true people. Sagittarius, you are standing in that same holy space now. The space where grief begins to transform into wisdom, where old ties dissolve and new life begins. The person who hurt you was never your destination. They were a lesson, a mirror, a temporary companion on a much longer, much grander journey. You do not dishonor the love you once gave by moving forward. You honor it by refusing to let their wounds define the rest of your life. There is a new energy rising within you. Can you feel it? It is the slow, steady gathering of strength in places that once felt hollow. It is the quiet return of dreams you had set aside because someone once told you that you were too much, too naive, too unworthy. It is the reclaiming of joy without guilt, ambition without apology, love without fear. And in this new season, you are not walking with old wounds disguised as armor. You are walking whole. You are walking lighter. You are walking free. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. You no longer need to prove you are lovable by how much you can endure. You have learned that love, real love, does not demand the shrinking of your spirit. It does not punish your tenderness. It does not make you question your own magic. When you encounter love again, and it will not look like begging for scraps. It will look like a meeting of equals, a dance of two whole souls who choose each other not out of need but out of sacred recognition. Until then, and even after, you are enough. This sacred freedom you are stepping into will ask things of you. It will ask you to say yes to new opportunities even when fear whispers otherwise. It will ask you to open your heart again, even when old memories urge you to stay closed. It will ask you to trust the unfolding of your life, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. But know this, Sagittarius. The universe is not asking you to do these things blindly. It is asking you because you are ready. Ready to build a life not from survival but from joy. Ready to write a new story, not as the wounded one, but as the wise, radiant soul who knows their own worth. You will feel it in small ways first. The mornings you wake up without the ache in your chest. The songs that make you smile instead of cry. The dreams that return with new colors and textures. And then one day you will realize that the person you once waited for, cried for, prayed for is no longer the center of your story. You are. And what a beautiful story it is becoming. Conclusion: the sacred return to yourself. Sagittarius, if you have walked this far with me today, know that you have already begun the most important journey of all. The journey back to your own soul. You have faced betrayal without allowing it to define you. You have survived heartbreak without letting it harden you. You have released those who could not love you. Not with bitterness, but with a silent blessing that lifted your spirit higher than any apology ever could. This is the true miracle of your path. Not that you avoided pain, but that you transformed it into wisdom, into grace, into sacred freedom. You no longer need the echoes of the past to validate your growth. You are becoming the author of a new chapter. One written in the language of light, resilience, and hope. From now on, trust the quiet strength that has carried you here. Trust the new energy awakening within you. Trust that the universe has witnessed every tear, every silent choice for love, and is now aligning the right people, the right opportunities, the right miracles to meet you where your soul is finally free to soar. You are not walking into a life of survival, Sagittarius. You are stepping into a life of sacred expansion, and the best is yet to come. If this message touched your heart, I warmly invite you to like, share, and subscribe to our soul family here at Zodiac Wisdom. Together we walk these sacred paths, not as victims of our past, but as creators of our most beautiful futures. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. What part of your spirit are you reclaiming today? Remember, dear Sagittarius, you are not the pain they gave you. You are the light you chose to keep. And that light is leading you exactly where you are meant to be.